What's up, everybody? D-Man back. Welcome to a brand new video, and today we're going to be doing another Godzilla Minus 2 news and updates. And today we have some huge news. Today is the day we are covering the new official Mechagodzilla Minus One, aka the new Mechagodzilla Zero-Type Beast G-Breaker. And you know what? In honor of all of this, let's crank the hype up as much as we can. Like this video right now. If we can make this my most liked news and updates ever with 40,000 likes, I know it's a big goal, but I know we can do it. I know we can. I will do everything in my power to go cover this as soon as possible so that I can share this with you guys, so that we can experience the new Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla fight we've all been wanting. I will do everything in my power to cover this for you guys and with you guys, so make sure to like the video right now. Today we're talking new figures, we're going in depth with an interview with Takashi Yamazaki, and of course we're talking all things Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla, the new Mechagodzilla design, the war at sea, and what it means for the Minus One sequel overall. Let's jump into it. Alrighty, you guys, there's so much to cover, but I want to start out with some artwork like always, and this first piece comes to us from PB&Jam Sandwich. This is their Mechagodzilla size chart, and it was appropriately released days before the new Mechagodzilla design was revealed. I always forget how much bigger Kiryu is than Mechagodzilla 1975. He's so small. I also always forget how large the Heisei series was, and how they're barely shorter than the Monsterverse characters. Either way, really cool size chart. Who do you think's winning this Mechagodzilla all-out brawl? Technically, I feel like Absolute Zero would annihilate if he nailed the shot, but honestly I might give it to Mechagodzilla 93. He was able to take down a peak strength Godzilla, so he might find a way out of that, but Mechagodzilla 2021 is just so freaking fast. You could probably take him out pretty quickly. This is GNA's divine art. It is fantastic. It's got Godzilla charging up his spines in Ginza. I love the destruction in front of Godzilla. Always love to see Godzilla framed in front of telephone poles. The blue looks really beautiful the way it's contrasting with the background. GNA's artwork is always incredible, so I had to show this off. This next one comes to us from Izam Ahmad. This is their Godzilla Minus One poster, and it features Godzilla coming out of the smoke after he's been blasted by the tanks in Ginza. And Takashi Yamazaki even weighed in on this one, saying it was fantastic. So really cool stuff. This isn't really news, but I'll cover it anyways because I love the guy. I'm always so excited to see whenever I check in on Dai-Chan. I feel like he's always got these incredible opportunities and amazing things are constantly coming his way, which is so great. Could not happen to a nicer person. And so today I want to celebrate the fact that Naoki Sato, who is of course the composer for Godzilla Minus One, officially followed Dai-Chan, and the two of them got to meet on Twitter, which was pretty sweet. As for figures, I honestly had no idea what it was Super 7 had up their sleeve when they teased that Godzilla warning sign, but we got the first official reveal, and it is their new Super 7 Kaiju Response Team figure line. This Godzilla Station Fun Godzilla was revealed. It is a Godzilla Minus One. It is transparent and blue, and it is very cute, very cool. Kind of reminds me of like the Bandai Movie Monster series theater exclusive figures. I really like the sculpt. I like the transparency of it. The box art's pretty cool as well. And they didn't stop there. They also revealed the new Super 7 Ultimate Godzilla Station figure. This Godzilla is this glowing orange color. Obviously, this is a rework of their Super 7 Godzilla Ultimates figure. This one's got that transparent color. Very cool. I really like the transparent spines. And I like that the paint on the feet is so different, like with the toenails painted and such. He really pops, and it does definitely give the impression of him being like a warning, like big caution Godzilla, which is pretty neat. Obviously, I've reviewed the Super 7 Godzilla Minus One Ultimates on the channel. I was an enormous fan. And if you want to get your own Super 7 figures, you can and you should using the link here, super7.com/KingKings1954. That is my creator code. By using that, you can get yourself some epic Godzilla stuff or any figures that Super 7 sells, while also supporting me in the process, so I'd really appreciate that. SH Monster Arts teased another Godzilla Minus One SDCC exclusive before officially revealing it. Here is the new SHMA Godzilla 2023, aka the new SH Monster Arts Godzilla Minus One SDCC 2025 exclusive version. He features glowing spines, which are painted really well. I really like the inner white glow and then the darker blue on the outside. It's very cool. Painted spines going up his back and painted eyes, as well as his mouth is glowing, and he comes with an atomic breath effect, which is a very cool one. I really like the end of the atomic breath being all wispy like that. That's very sweet. It is nearly identical to the previous SDCC 2024 Godzilla Minus One, with the only real difference I noticed being that this one doesn't come with the Shin Den. Either way, very nicely sculpted figure, very nicely painted figure. I've reviewed the standard Godzilla Minus One on the channel already from SH Monster Arts, and I was a big fan of that one as well. Links in the description for everything discussed here if you're interested. Chibi Godzilla did a little takeover of the Godzilla store Daiba on July 2nd. I always love to see Chibi Godzilla out there getting some love. The Chibi Godzilla suit shows up at a lot of promotional events. It's a big draw, and I think Chibi Godzilla is a great way to get kids interested in Godzilla. He's also just a fun character in general, so I'm a big fan. This was to hype up the fact that season 3 is beginning. Kazuki Kishida and Mio Tanaka are appearing at the 70th anniversary film festival in Minoa Town. Kishida is a producer for Godzilla Minus One, and obviously Tanaka played Hota in Godzilla Minus One. Seems like there's some Chibi Godzilla event there as well. I've got a really nice interview with Takashi Yamazaki linked down below. I highly recommend you going and checking it out for yourself. It was with Analog, and I'll break it down here. I love the vibes of this interview. Holy cow, I really like the music, and I love the way it was shot. It's a very pretty interview. It's just so gentle and calming. In it, we learned that ever since Yamazaki was a child, monster movies and Ultraman were a big part of his life. But it was Close Encounters and Star Wars that were this enormous turning point in his interest in VFX. He says that there was a time where it felt like everything you saw in film felt so real, and then all of a sudden you would see something that just simply couldn't exist in the real world and it would blow your mind. He says that this jump felt like it happened all of the sudden and that there was no real build up to it. He wonders if that novelty has gone away, as modern generations are so used to seeing things put on screen that simply can't be real, that they don't know what the experience was like, seeing those groundbreaking films for the first time. Yamazaki started out wanting to do VFX, and through it thought it would be nice to direct something, but didn't have a strong feeling about becoming a director. Yamazaki's main love is creating worlds and separating himself from those worlds. Yamazaki explains filmmaking as a way to lie to people, to get them to believe in the world they're watching as if it's something you really saw and are showing them, something that actually happened. He says he really tries to value humanity in each of these worlds and to think about everyone and how they are emotionally and personally affected by the stories being told. He thinks about how he himself would react in those worlds and then tries to convey that through the characters. To make VFX look real, he says you have to take a digital effect and then add analog elements to it, or in this case, elements you would get if you created it in an analog effect. So the example he gives is if you have a VFX of a car, you must add mud and dust and dirty it up to make it look real. He says that there are errors all over the real world and that they're just simply a part of life, and that one of the things that breaks VFX is when those errors aren't included in the VFX themselves. He says that he always tries to include at least one live action element into every VFX shot to ground it in reality. He says that VFX are great because you can create creatures that have never been seen before, but that alone doesn't sell tickets. You need to create characters that allow the VFX to shine. This is the core of what makes a fantastic movie, and this is the core of what makes a fantastic Godzilla movie. If you don't have characters to ground the VFX are just there, and they don't mean as much. It doesn't mean the same thing. To really give a movie emotion and weight and impact, you need the characters at the core of that story. And by the way, a movie like Godzilla Kong the New Empire proves that those characters could be VFX themselves, but the characterization must come first. So I'm really happy hearing him reiterate that. In part 2 of this analog interview, we'll go probably more in depth in that topic, but I'm happy to hear him reiterate that leading into the next Godzilla film, because the next Godzilla film is certainly going to be a giant monster brawl. There will be monsters fighting in the next movie. I'm certain that that is what's going to happen, especially given Mechagodzilla, as we'll talk about here in a minute. Yamazaki's got more practice directing monster fights than he does monster solo attacks, but it's really important to maintain the core story and focus on the character and the emotion at hand, otherwise we lose the plot. I truly think we could not be in better hands for the next Godzilla film. Universo Godzilla's released this little Godzilla The Ride scene pack. Thank you, Mr. Goji, for sending this to me. It features a compilation of some of the HD footage we have from the first Godzilla The Ride, including what is like a newer HD shot, or at least I haven't seen this HD shot of Godzilla roaring. That looks great. I believe that's after he stomps Ghidorah's head and kills one of the heads, as well as a really nice HD shot of Godzilla throwing Ghidorah at the audience, rolling him towards us. If you don't know, to quickly recap, the first Godzilla The Ride is set during the Showa period, and King Ghidorah attacks. You're in this little army tank, you're driving around, Ghidorah's chasing you. Eventually, he grabs you and takes you way up into the air. When Rodan appears, Ghidorah and Rodan get into a fight. Ghidorah drops you, you parachute downward in your little truck. As you're parachuting down, the fight continues until Godzilla appears and King Ghidorah and Godzilla battle it out until King Ghidorah is eventually defeated. The Ride was a huge hit. It was made right before Takashi Yamazaki started work on Godzilla Minus One, And it leads directly into the new Godzilla The Ride Great Clash, which has been officially revealed with this awesome key art featuring Mechagodzilla Zero-Type Beast G-Breaker. The world's first screening will happen on August 1st, 2025 at the Sabune Amusement Park, and we officially have it revealed. I think it is so funny. So if you don't know, I did a video a couple days ago breaking down the Godzilla The Ride, talking about how Takashi Yamazaki has promised to deliver the most terrifying Godzilla experience ever. If you want more details, go check that video out. I go more in depth into that topic and also into that promo image of Godzilla chasing the boat there. And I'm not really going to cover all that in this video, but it's funny because in that video I was talking about Takashi Yamazaki and Tom Cruise having a discussion about how Takashi Yamazaki really took a lot away from Mission Impossible and went home and started revising the script for Godzilla Minus 2. And I was like, I don't understand what he could possibly take away from that movie other than the sensibilities during the action sequences, as the film is so centrally focused on AI, and the only way that could really work in a Godzilla story is if you include Mechagodzilla, and I don't think they're ever going to pit Mechagodzilla up against Godzilla Minus One, and then immediately they pit Mechagodzilla up against Godzilla Minus One. This is our first official look at the new Mechagodzilla versus Godzilla fight going on. It's an insane image. Breaking down the elements here, first of all, you see this enormous ship in the background that Godzilla's standing on. That is the ship that it seems Godzilla was chasing during that other promo image. And if it isn't that enormous ship, it's probably this little flying ship. This little flying ship is what the audience is going to be on. That's our perspective. You, the writer, are supposed to be on this little flying boat car thing. I don't know what the heck that thing is, but it's essentially just the new way to get your characters around the battlefield. It's not that different from the Godzilla The Ride, where on the original Godzilla The Ride, you were on a tank that got blasted into the air with these enormous parachutes. But here we see the awesome key art of Mechagodzilla fighting Godzilla. I know they are at sea, like it definitely looks like a Godzilla versus Kong scenario where they're deep in the ocean, right? Like they're deep in the ocean fighting on the aircraft carrier, but I don't think that this is a Tasman Sea situation. You can see the explosions going off under Godzilla as if he's standing on the ship sinking the thing underneath him. But then if you look behind Mechagodzilla, you can see there's a building crumbling. Mechagodzilla is launching himself off of the coastline. This is a coastline battle, so I don't think it's going to be doing the thing that Godzilla vs. Kong did where they're fighting on an aircraft carrier, although I will say, given the size of Godzilla Minus One being at 164 feet rather than 394 feet, it would make a little more sense for Godzilla and Mechagodzilla to be able to fight on an aircraft carrier without sinking it than Godzilla and Kong. The key art here is so freaking awesome, clearly taking inspiration from GVK. I'll talk a bit more about that later. I love it. I love the posing on it. Godzilla looks great. Mechagodzilla looks so cool. It's giving me big Godzilla against Mechagodzilla vibes like the Kiryu poster. I love seeing Godzilla all charged up. Interestingly, it doesn't look like his spines are ejected, at least not to the same degree that Godzilla Minus One's spines were, and we'll actually talk about that here a little bit, as this Godzilla design doesn't appear to be the exact same Godzilla from Godzilla Minus One. Now, is this the new Godzilla design for the new Godzilla sequel? I don't think so. It feels a little underwhelming if it is. It actually feels like kind of, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but a bit of a step back from the Godzilla Minus One design, back towards the Godzilla The Ride design. You can see Godzilla's missing the scars on the chest, like he doesn't have the brown on the chest anymore. I presume he doesn't have the big scar on the face anymore, as Shikishima wouldn't have popped a landmine in his mouth in this timeline, unless this is supposed to be a spiritual or even maybe continuity-wise direct sequel to Godzilla Minus One in its own spin-off timeline. I don't know. It's not canon to the movie, I'll tell you that for sure. But Godzilla's spines even look a little different. Like Godzilla's spines look a little smaller than the Godzilla Minus One spines. If you look at these two images side by side, Godzilla Minus One's spines look a lot bigger, although it could be a perspective issue. Of course, Godzilla's at a slightly different angle, and there are angles of the Godzilla Minus One render where the spines look a little small if you look at it from the right angle, but I do think that this is a new Godzilla design. By that I mean an ever so slightly tweaked version of the Godzilla Minus One design. Also, that mandible in the mouth, or whatever you call that connects the top and the bottom jaw together, that little bit of flesh that hangs there, it looks a lot more pronounced on this Godzilla. Maybe I'm wrong on that though. Mechagodzilla obviously looks really different. So they're ditching the Minus One period piece, right? We noticed that on the boat in the other image. Like, this is a modern fight that's going on. The boat in the other image looks modern, if not futuristic, and now we're seeing they're laying fully into the futuristic aesthetic. This Mechagodzilla looks more futuristic than any Mechagodzilla we've seen so far. This Mechagodzilla looks really modernized. I love that you can still see some of the gears and pistons in his legs moving up through his body. I really like that detail of it. The chest is also very cool, and he does look like a very good counterpart to Godzilla. The mouth looks very Five Nights at Freddy's with those teeth and whatever is going on the inside of the mouth. Maybe that's a giant cannon. In fact, I think you can kind of see the barrel of a cannon sticking out of Mechagodzilla's mouth where he'll be able to shoot Godzilla from. The only thing I wish I could change about the face specifically is I wish we could add some spines on the top of the head, give him a little more sharpness like Godzilla has those nice spines on his head, as he does feel a little naked up on his head to me. Overall, the design looks very cool though, and the tail, holy cannoli, that's straight up Mechagodzilla 2021's tail. Like, they straight up took the Mechagodzilla 2021 tail. He feels like if you fused Mechagodzilla 2021 with the Heisei Mechagodzilla. This definitely feels like a crossbreed between the modern Mechagodzilla and the 90s Mechagodzilla, which in a way kind of fits because Godzilla Minus One very much feels like a modernized version of the Heisei Godzilla. What are your thoughts on the new Mechagodzilla design? I'd love to hear, comment below and let me know. This new Mechagodzilla officially is called Mechagodzilla Zero-Type Beast G-Breaker. Of course, I think the Mechagodzilla Zero is a reference to Godzilla Minus One. I think it's Godzilla Minus One versus Mechagodzilla Zero. I don't think that was an accident. Yeah, it looks really cool. And he looks really fast too, the way they have the falling debris by him, kind of making it look like there's streaks coming off of him as if he's moving really fast in this image. But very cool stuff, and that means both the images we've seen have taken place at sea. Godzilla chasing the ship with his mouth, and now this big fight sequence both happening at sea, which is very cool. I'm going to run you through the entire press release which came out for Godzilla The Ride. It's really bulky, so I'll try and make it as fast as I can here. This is a press release from Toho and the Sabian Amusement Park, and this official press release I haven't seen anybody cover in depth. I don't know why people haven't covered it in depth, but it's got a lot of great information. First of all, we learned that the title of Takashi Yamazaki's new Godzilla ride is Godzilla The Ride Great Clash. The key visual features a brand new Mechagodzilla, and the world premiere will be on August 1st at the Sabian Amusement Park. Toho's CEO, Hiroyasu Matsuoka, who we just covered an interview from on another video just a couple days ago, announced the title of the ride. This has been developed by Taiwan's Borgent Technologies for the iRide system. There are over 40 iRide locations worldwide, and they do hope to expand this ride to all 40 starting in Japan. The overview is that this is set in the ocean. They confirmed this is all in the ocean, which makes sense. Godzilla Minus One excelled at ocean sequences. The big boat chase is probably the most iconic scene in the movie. It's incredibly well done, and it had a lot of potential to be capitalized on in ride format. I discuss way more about that in the other video, so I highly recommend you go and check that other video out. This is Takashi Yamazaki's completely original design for Mechagodzilla. This is his Mechagodzilla. Godzilla and Mechagodzilla will engage in an epic battle over the sea. The main attraction is the new Type Zero machine Beast G-Breaker, designed by Yamazaki specifically for this attraction, and will engage with Godzilla in a massive clash on an ocean stage. I think that we can say here 100% for sure, this Mechagodzilla design will not be featured in the Godzilla Minus One sequel. Let's just say Mechagodzilla is in the Godzilla Minus One sequel, which I'm thinking that based on the fact that they included Mechagodzilla in this ride, they're doing it because they're not using Mechagodzilla in the sequel. They know they have the safety net of not using Mechagodzilla as the enemy for Godzilla in the next movie, and so they're putting the Mechagodzilla fight sequences here so that we can still get the sense of Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla without spoiling the next film. But let's just say Mechagodzilla does wind up in the next movie. This one is a futuristic art aesthetic. It's going to be very different than the one we would see in that universe, so it really isn't the Minus One time period Mechagodzilla. This is more like if Godzilla returned and then somewhere down the line, over 70 years later, they built a new Mechagodzilla to fight him. This would be what that Mechagodzilla would become. They say guests will be thrust into the heart of this immense battle unfolding right before their eyes, experiencing overwhelming thrills and splashes with their entire body. Get ready, you're gonna get wet. There's a lot of descriptions about how often you're gonna get splashed during this ride. It's a 4D immersive experience after all, and I did really enjoy in Godzilla Minus One when I saw it in 4D, when Godzilla does his atomic breath, you can feel the wind blow you, which was great. Your chair rocks you back. It was fantastic. They even gave you like the slightest maybe bit of mist, or maybe that was just in my head because it felt so immersive. It was really cool. I would love that to be amped up to the next level for this ride. The details here are that the entire production team from Godzilla Minus One reunited for this ride, beginning their work right after winning the Academy Award. The main goal was to surpass the quality and entertainment of Godzilla The Ride Giant Monster Ultimate Battle, which was the first one from 2021. The driving question from the crew was, what is the ultimate ride attraction experience, and that is what they're seeking out to attain. I will mention they're specifically referring to I-rides, which are like the type that you sit in a chair, a fixed chair, and then you're watching the screen and it's a 4D experience rather than like you're going on triple flips on a roller coaster, you know what I mean? This has been described as the world's greatest splash ride one that exceeds expectations and shakes the soul. They claim that this is the grand finale to Godzilla's 70th anniversary. So obviously Godzilla's 70th anniversary for Toho officially began with the 69th anniversary and the release of Godzilla Minus One. Here, 1 year later at the 71st anniversary, we are getting the finale to the Godzilla 70th anniversary trilogy, which started with Minus One, then had GXK, and now has Godzilla The Ride. So this is the epic grand conclusion, premiering at the Seibyun Amusement Park in Tokorozawa City at the Saitama Prefecture starting on August 1st. The official synopsis here is, the attraction follows a mission aboard the Goose, a state-of-the-art drone ship capable of navigating underwater, at sea, and on land. That's clearly that little flying thing we see. Guests board this ship, called the Goose Nest Mothership, the one in the background that Godzilla's on, to search for Godzilla, lurking in the surrounding ocean areas. Obviously, dude's about to find us and chase us around, based on that first image. There will be an immersive pre-show room meant to draw guests into the world of Godzilla. I guess it's going to give us a little bit of the history of this new universe. Uniformed monitors from the Emergency Defense Against Gargantuan Encounters appear and brief guests via monitors. That is called EDGE for short, EDGE. It's kind of like this version of Monarch. Or kind of like G-Force, I guess, but feels a little more Monarch to me than G-Force. This will show footage of Godzilla attacking coastal regions and dioramas of the Goose Nest ship, so get ready for more Godzilla destruction goodness. The goal is to make the rider feel as if they are part of the mission. There will also be a mock-up of Mechagodzilla Type 0 machine Beast G-Breaker, and guests will be able to spot Mechagodzilla displayed in a massive hangar throughout monitors. Other details for this ride state that the original Godzilla The Ride debuted in 2021 and supports a 99% satisfaction rate. The new ride will offer even more stunning visuals, powerful sounds, thrilling ride motion, and immersive water and wind effects, and is all meticulously crafted for a ride that stirs the soul. This will be located at the Seibyun Amusement Park's Sunset Pavilion, and the ride is 15 minutes. The story is a little interesting because it specifically relies on it being at the Seibyun Amusement Park, so they might have to change this depending on what amusement park you go and see it at once they eventually start to roll it out, which seems like it'll be quite a while. The story summary here of Godzilla The Ride Great Clash is, the Sunset Pavilion, a historic movie theater perched on Seibyun's Sunset Hill, hides a secret passage inside. This leads to the Goose Nest, a flagship vessel operated by the Emergency Defense Against Gargantuan Encounters, EDGE, stationed near the coastal region. The Goose Nest is equipped with the Godzilla suppression weapon, Type 0 machine Beast G-Breaker, aka Mechagodzilla. You are on the ship that is going to be launching Mechagodzilla. I don't know if he's sitting catatonic on it waiting to be activated, or if he's like being dragged under it, or if he'll be summoned by the ship, but Mechagodzilla is equipped on this ship somehow. Guests act as monitoring officers, board the Goose 1, which is that little ship you see, and embark on a mission to locate and confront Godzilla. We got a wallpaper version of it, which I'm sure I've shown a couple times already on this video. Looks pretty sick, it's just got the text on screen. We also got a couple title cards for it, the Japanese title card and then the American or international title card. We also have an update from producer Kazuaki Kishida giving details on the ride, saying, the latest update on the ride. This time you'll dive into the midst of an epic battle between Godzilla and Zero-Type Beast G-Breaker. It'll be operational at Seibyun Amusement Parks starting August 1st. Please come visit. I know Dai-Chan will be there day one. I wish I could join him. Holy cow, that would be amazing. This is not Takashi Yamazaki's first time weighing in on Mechagodzilla, and this might give us a bit of an indication on why they went the route they did, but if you remember a while ago, I discussed the fan film Mechagodzilla Absolute Zero. Takashi Yamazaki also hyped it up. It is made by a high school student, I believe, and Yamazaki was very proud of how well it came out. TTM81 is the animator's name, and he explains he actually had a trip to Shirogumi and met Takashi Yamazaki after making his little short, so Yamazaki brought him out because of his amazing short film. He states that he actually visited Shirogumi in February and met Takashi Yamazaki personally, who told him about this upcoming project, saying that they went with a futuristic Mechagodzilla design in order to avoid overlapping with his design. TTM81's Mechagodzilla is very steampunk. It's like built into a battleship, playing on the idea that it is in the Minus One universe and is still in the past. Like, I believe it's supposed to take place like maybe 10 years after Minus One, and they have built a Mechagodzilla that is essentially a giant ship. It's a very cool idea. I really love it, and I love that animation. It turned out really well. He says that he actually thinks Yamazaki was joking, but maybe only half joking, and he likes to believe that he had some sort of influence over the new Mechagodzilla Mechagodzilla, even if it was to try and avoid his Mechagodzilla. He also explains that he's actually in the middle of studying for exams, and he's very excited, but he is not involved in this new Godzilla The Ride. He then released a really nice new render of his Mechagodzilla design, which takes heavy inspiration from Kiryu and Mechagodzilla 74, and just overall looks really awesome. I'm a big fan of it. Kind of gives me Singular Point vibes. Character designer, concept artist, and writer of Godzilla Galaxy Odyssey, Shinji Nishikawa celebrated the new Mechagodzilla design, pointing out how this is Mechagodzilla's first official fight at sea. We then got fans taking to the community to celebrate the new Mechagodzilla. Mr. Goji pointed out the comparisons between Godzilla Evolved and Godzilla Minus One. Those are such wildly different designs. And then Mechagodzilla from Jared Krzyzewski and the new Yamazaki Mechagodzilla. And you can really see that Yamazaki took a lot of inspiration from Mechagodzilla 2021. It's just a very Mechagodzilla 2021 pose, even if it does give a bit of Kiryu vibes. And then especially that tail's undeniable. He put together a follow-up between all the Monsterverse and Ride characters. And you can see Ghidorah the Ride from 2021 takes heavy inspiration from Ghidorah 2019. Rodan from the 2021 ride takes heavy inspiration from Rodan 2019. And this is something I've talked about on the channel for a long time, but Takashi Yamazaki seems to have taken big inspiration from the Monsterverse, especially in regards to Godzilla King of the Monsters. The visuals for the first Godzilla The Ride, lots of them are pulled straight from Godzilla King of the Monsters, which was really awesome. If Legendary wasn't going to capitalize on how amazing Godzilla King of the Monsters would be as a ride, I'm glad Takashi Yamazaki could. But there you can see the comparisons, very cool. Finally, we have a comparison of Godzilla vs. Kong versus the new Godzilla Great Clash, and you can see Godzilla and Kong fighting on the aircraft carrier pairs up very well with Godzilla and Mechagodzilla fighting at sea. It looks great. This is not the only bit of inspiration Takashi Yamazaki seems to have taken from Godzilla vs. Kong. If you remember, that shot of Kong jumping off the aircraft carrier as Godzilla shoots the atomic breath through it and explodes the thing was basically pulled directly for Godzilla Minus One. It was awesome. And it goes both ways, as Adam Wingard said he was so influenced by Godzilla Minus One that he took things like the shot of Godzilla stepping and erupting the ground straight from Godzilla Minus One and put it in the new Empire. So it's just Godzilla creatives and artists influencing each other all the time in all different ways. It is so cool. I love to see it. We have another image here putting together Godzilla The Ride, the first one with Godzilla versus King Ghidorah, and now Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla. And you can see Godzilla's taken up a similar position. The new Godzilla seems to have a bit more of like Godzilla The Ride styled spines, and maybe looks a bit more like a step in between Godzilla Minus One and Godzilla The Ride. Childish Landino celebrates that this completes Takashi Yamazaki's trilogy of rides, first with Godzilla The Ride. There's also technically an escape room for that, but I don't think Yamazaki had anything to do with that. Then there's Ultraman The Ride, which I don't really hear anybody talking about. Now there's the new Godzilla The Ride Great Clash. And finally, to end it off here, we have Gigan 102489-6's Mechagodzilla Zero-Type Beast G-Breaker fan art of the new Mechagodzilla design, looking very cool in their cute chibi little art style. To quickly, I know this video is long, thank you for sticking with me, to quickly run through what this could all mean for the next Godzilla movie. First of all, it means that Takashi Yamazaki now officially has more experience directing monster fights than he does directing solo monster attacks between Godzilla The Ride, the first one with Rodan versus King Ghidorah and Godzilla versus King Ghidorah, then with Ultraman The Ride with Ultraman fighting whoever he fights in that, looks like at the very least Zeton, and then now with the new one with Godzilla fighting Mechagodzilla, he officially outmatches his Godzilla solo appearances with Godzilla Minus One. Takashi Yamazaki has a really cool style, at least with the first Godzilla The Ride that we saw echoed in Always Sunset 2, which featured Godzilla at the start, also directed by Takashi Yamazaki. The really cool style was these really long extended oneers, these long takes that show the action without any cuts. It's all one full viewing, it's all one unbroken experience. I expect them to use the same strategy on the new Godzilla The Ride. I would really hope that strategy is pulled into the next Godzilla movie and we get some fantastic oneers between kaiju fighting. That would be incredible if we could deliver some kaiju action sequences on screen in the films without breaking the flow of the fight the way we do in these rides. It would be amazing. Yamazaki's already proven himself to have the fights be really cool and dynamic, and we did get a little bit of that in Godzilla Minus One. The best example of that is probably Godzilla attacking the Nippon Theater, tail swiping it and then knocking the reporters over. It could either be that or it could be the extended oneer at the start on Odo Island as Godzilla starts to kill a bunch of the mechanics. Either way, I really hope we get that sense of action brought into the next film. I'm 100% certain that the next film is going to be a Godzilla versus somebody else movie, even though I'm still less certain that it'll be a direct sequel to Godzilla Minus One, although I'm pretty certain of that as well. So Yamazaki's getting even more experience for that. Godzilla The Ride influenced the way he made Godzilla Minus One heavily. I'm sure this will do the same. And again, I think because they're using Mechagodzilla here, it is safe to say, and I think the time period already makes it safe to say, Mechagodzilla will not appear in the Godzilla Minus One sequel. I just don't think it's going to happen. It seems like Mechagodzilla is officially out, as why would they use Mechagodzilla here and spoil his appearance and spoil some of the things you could do with him before you could put it into the next movie. So fully expecting the next movie to not have Mechagodzilla, but either way, very cool stuff. Thank you guys so much for sitting through this extended extended major deep dive into the new Godzilla The Ride Great Clash. I really appreciate it. Once again, anything we can do to get this video to 40,000 likes would be fantastic. It would make it the most liked news and updates I've ever done. Or better yet, if we make this my most liked video of all time and get us to 100,000 likes, I know it's a big goal, but hey, if every single viewer just clicks like, we could do it. I feel like Toho couldn't ignore that. I feel like they'd have to bring us out. Together, we might be able to get out there and cover Godzilla The Ride Great Clash while we can, and to provide some exclusive coverage of that. That would be awesome. So once again, big thank you to all the support. I really appreciate it, you guys. I want to give a huge thank you to everybody for watching, especially to my patrons over on Patreon. It is through the support of the patrons on Patreon that I'm able to continue to make videos like this for you. If you want to support the Patreon, you can use the link in the description below where you can get early access to content, access to the Discord community, and more. If that's not your thing, please consider joining as a channel member. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you guys all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I will see you all next time for the next one. D-Man, out.